Hey, Giant Builders. Today's guest is Cienna, and she's going to give us some tips on business building and sales. So you're going to love her. She's so sweet.
Building spirituality, family, health, and business. This is the Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.
Hey, Giant Builders. Before I introduce our guest, I want to remind you, make sure to look below and check our links. Join us on our social media and make sure to check our media page and our sponsor page because those are the people and the places where you'll find all the cool stuff. All right. All right, cool kids. Here we go. All right, Giant Builders. Today's guest is Cienna Kopischke. And tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you, by the way, for having me on this show. My name is Cienna Kopischke, and I am a sales and visibility coach. So I help business owners learn how to increase their revenue by understanding how to position themselves in their marketplace. And so that is what I do. I am a mom, and I am also a military spouse. And so that is me in a nutshell.
Oh, how many children do you have?
I have one child.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old?
He is 2.
Oh, precious
Yeah.
age, precious age.
He's young,
Well,
yes.
tell us a little bit about your coaching. Like, what would be like a first meeting?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it really just depends on the business and what's going on. But overall, when I sit down with my clients, I really like to look at how are they marketing their business? And is it
Mm.
proportionate to you as an individual, to your capacity level? What are some of the activities that you're doing on a daily basis? Things like that are really what I like to get a feel for. And then from there, I'm able to say, okay, let's create a plan of action and let's help you to grow your business strategically.
Mm. Strategically, that's such a tricky word
Yes.
sometimes. Oh. Well, can you share just a couple of tips that in general that people might be able to use?
Yeah. So for me, I make a lot of my sales through Instagram. And so that's where a lot of my clients are also marketing their business because that's where they find me. I guess in general, regardless of where you're marketing your business, the first thing that I would say is make sure that you're as authentic as possible, right? In your sales strategies and what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
Because what I see a lot is people do things that they're not really happy with. A lot of people cold call because they were told that cold calling is what they need to do, or they'll cold email you or cold message you. And not a lot of people are buying from that these days, right? Like people are
Yeah.
buying from people they know, they like, and they trust. And so if we are putting out a metric in the way that you don't even like to buy from other people in a way that doesn't make you feel good at your core, then that's not something that you should be doing. But a lot of people, unfortunately, still do these things because they were told that they should do them, even though they would not buy necessarily from that way, right? Like if somebody cold pitched you and you're cold pitching others, would you buy from them? And if the answer is no, then that's not something that you should be doing, even if it does make you sales. My number one thing that I tell people all the time is you have to make sales from a place of alignment to your personality and to your values and what you believe in as an individual. And if you are making sales from a place of unalignment, you are always going to be unfulfilled in your business. And so
Mm.
it's very important to make sure that you know what your human values are, that you know that, okay, I like to make sales through connections, right? I like to buy from people that I've had real conversations with, not just about my business. Then that's exactly how you need to pivot your marketing and your sales tactics too.
Okay. So your notes said that you have some pillars on building a business. Can you share some of those pillars?
Yeah, I mean, there are different ways that that I strategize, like how do you figure out which activities are best for you. The very first thing that I tell people is you need to focus on your mindset. What a lot of people fail to recognize is that your mindset truly impacts how you show up, right? And
Mm.
so if you don't believe that it's possible for you to hit 6 figures, you're never going to hit 6 figures in your business. or 7 figures or 8 figures or whatever that number is that you hold as your goal to say, okay, I've made this in my business. I did X, Y, and Z in my business. It could even be small. It could be something like you want to hit $2,000 months in your business. If there is one shred of doubt in your heart that you cannot hit that, you're never going to hit it. And I'm not trying to sound negative, but the truth is that if we don't believe in ourselves, then we don't take aligned action. And so even if you put on your beautiful whiteboard or somewhere in your office, hey, I'm going to make, let's say, $2,000 a month in sales, if you don't believe it, you're never going to take the action to actually accomplish that $2,000 a month. But if you believe it, you're going to take that action. So my first business building pillar is your own mindset. And it's something I never fail to neglect in my business. It's something that I really make sure all of my clients understand for themselves. Because if you believe you can achieve it, you are going to achieve it and then some. And so that's number one. The second piece of this is like getting visible. You have to understand how to increase your visibility. And I'm not talking about getting in front of people who already know that you exist. I'm talking about people who don't know that you exist. These are going to be activities like going to networking events and networking calls. Like, we cannot be missing out on opportunities just because we're quote unquote too busy, right? Like, figure out what works for you. If you don't like networking calls or networking events, there are other ways to increase your visibility, especially with the internet being the way that it is today. You don't have to go to networking calls. You don't have to go to networking events, but I do recommend meeting people face to face, making real connections. And by the way, increasing your visibility is not sales. So do not go to networking events and try to immediately sell to people or hand out your business cards with the sole intention of making money, because that's just not realistic in 2024. Instead, go to networking events with the understanding that you are going to meet people who may not even be your client, but may know someone who is a great fit to be your client, or vice versa. And now you guys are building a community. You are giving referrals back and forth and able to help to grow each other's businesses. Another way to increase your visibility, which slips a lot of people's minds, is blogging through guest blogging. I like this because, especially for my introverts that don't like networking events or things like that, when you appear as a guest on a guest blog or on someone else's blog, you are appearing in front of a minimum of 500 people. These are 500 people who don't know that you exist. And if you think about it, anytime us as humans have an issue, the first thing that we do is we go straight to Google and we type in, how do I do X, Y, and Z? How do I write a blog post? How do I cook dinner tonight, or like the specific dinner tonight, right? We are Googling these things. And what are we getting? Well, we're getting articles, which are blog posts. And so it's a wonderful way for our business's name to grow and to get out there without us showing up on camera or talking to a bunch of people that we don't want to talk to. It is an amazing resource. Another way that you can increase your visibility is by appearing on a podcast as a guest, right?
Oh.
Going on other podcasts, like I guess I'm doing right now, going on other podcasts and just giving your area of expertise, teaching as much as you can. One thing that I see people do when they go on podcasts as guests is they try to sell their services and their offers. And instead of doing that, I want to like shift things, because sales can happen when you actually are here to make an impact and help other people first, right? And so go on podcasts and give value and help other people and teach other people things. And in return, people will follow you. They will see what you're doing. They will want to connect with you and communicate with you. But going on a podcast or on someone else's blog or someone else's platform in general, and just selling, 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 and talking about you and talking about your business and all these things is just not ideal in today's world. And so then from there, my third pillar to build a business is how you market your business, right? Whether that is whatever social media platform you use, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it is. For new business owners, I recommend just picking one there's a lot of noise in the world that says you have to do all platforms, you have to be everywhere in order to make sales. And if you're not here, 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 and here, you're missing out on money. And I just don't find that to be true. I've been in business for 5 years, and my number one source of income has been Instagram. And I just haven't felt the need to go elsewhere until this month. So if it's working for you, stick with it. Do that. Do what's working for you and make an impact. Create content that doesn't push your offers, but rather instead helps people solve problems, gives people solutions to what they are looking for. And then if you are selling, sales comes next. That's like the last pillar, right? Of the, I don't know if it's a funnel, but the last pillar of all of this is your sales and where you're making sales. If that's on Instagram, sales should happen in your Instagram stories or in your DMs. If that's on LinkedIn or even Facebook is also like Instagram or Facebook stories. You can make sales from Facebook stories. You can make sales from your DMs. You can also make sales in Facebook groups. That's where I've started making sales recently, is through Facebook groups. So there's a number of different ways that we can make sales, but you should first make sure that your content is nurturing your audience before you try to sell anything, and that you actually know the people that is in your audience. So those are my core pillars of how to effectively sell more in your business.
Any tips on how to choose which platform is going to be best for a person or a business?
Yeah, it honestly depends on a couple of things. The first thing that I would say is it depends on where is your ideal clients hanging out. Because if you are trying to market to people who are making 6 and 7 figures, you're going to want to get on LinkedIn, right? Especially if they're in the corporate world. If you are trying to market to people who maybe not necessarily making 6 or 7 figures just yet, but they are almost on their way there, then I would say Instagram is a great platform. But then you have to think about age demographics as well, right? Like, what is the age of the ideal person that you're trying to market to? TikTok, honestly, has been a big platform for a lot of people. And I have clients that are making a lot of money just from TikTok alone, because what TikTok does is the way that it is structured, it really does your visibility, your nurturing, and your converting your sales all in one platform. And so it depends on what your objective is. And then there are Facebook groups, right? Like if you are marketing to people who are relatively starting out in their business, I highly recommend Facebook groups. They are a great source to find those type of consumers and those types of buyers. Or if you are instead of business to business, you're business to consumer, then I would recommend honestly between Instagram or TikTok. So it's going to depend, varies based off of who your demographic is and what exactly is it that you are selling and doing would dictate where you should go. The second piece of this is also going to be where can you realistically put your time into, because your demographic may be on more than one platform. And so you could say, okay, Cienna, well, I could do either Instagram or TikTok, or I could do Instagram or Facebook groups, right? And my thought process is you should have one solid lead generation machine. Now, a lot of people don't agree with that, but I've been making sales in my own business with one solid lead generation machine, and it has worked amazing for me. And I don't have to wear myself out. I work 3 hours a day. I'm a stay-at-home mom. And outside of that, I'm in my business. And when I'm in my business, I need to be able to have it as simplified as possible without me losing out on income, right? And so you have to think about your lifestyle. Are you also a stay-at-home mom? Are you or do you work a 9 to 5 and run your business on the side? Do you run your business full time and have a team? That is going to dedicate or dictate, excuse me, where you are advertising, where you're marketing based off of your time availability. So those are kind of my two things that I would say in reference to which platforms to choose.
Okay, that was good. I saw you had a degree, your degree is in communication. How do you think that, how does that affect your coaching business?
That's a great question. It doesn't.
Oh, okay. That's good.
I love the fact that I have a degree.
Yeah.
Um, but in a lot of ways, I don't think it serves me a general purpose, right? Because my degree is, I have a track in advertising, which is what I have my degree in. And while yes, I learned certain things, I really learned how to advertise for multi-million dollar businesses, which isn't the type of clients that I work with today and I don't want to work with.
Okay.
So for me, it's not very beneficial. Now, if I were going into the corporate world, I could see that. But I think in general, it has opened a lot of doors for me to be able to learn how to grow businesses, starting off with the multi-million dollar businesses and scaling down to our very small businesses,
Mm.
which are the people that I love to work with the most because it's more personable and I'm a person to person type of business owner. So, yeah, I've learned a lot, but it doesn't really impact today as much.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you're a fairly new mom with a 2-year-old. So how do you or suggestions would you give to like coordinate time between family and business and all of
Yeah.
that?
Um, well, my family is a little bit different. So my husband is not out to sea right now. He is home. And so he works a very regular shift like most other families. And he's pretty much home every day around 2 p.m. So for us, my mornings are carved out for my son. That is my time we do a lot of homeschool activities. We go on a lot of, I call them field trips, where we're going, like this morning, we went to the library. Some days we go to indoor playgrounds. We do a lot of different activities, but mornings are really carved out for me and my son and like one on one bonding time. And then afterwards, we come home, and because of his age, he still takes naps, right? And so we come home, we have lunch at 11 o'clock, usually in the morning, and then at 12, it is nap time. When he goes down for his nap, that is when I step into my office, and it has just worked seamlessly. And he typically takes a 3 hour nap. So for me, my husband getting home at 2, that means in the middle of his nap time, my son's nap time, my husband is going to be home and he takes over dad duties and I'm in my office. And it works very flawlessly for us. But I would say this, if you are a mom or a parent, stay-at-home parent with a younger child, a child who's not in school yet, under 5, my recommendation is number one, give yourself grace.
Mm.
You are going to find yourself in situations where you get frustrated and flustered very often if you are trying to do both, if you are trying to run the business and take care of the child. Instead, dedicate specific hours that are just for your business where you could have somebody else watching your child, whether that's a babysitter, a nanny, a family member, right? Your spouse, whoever that is, but do not do both. I used to do both. I used to try to, when my son was first born, because I've been in business for 5 years, so before he was born, and my hours were so different back then because I didn't have a tiny little human that was looking to me, right? And so now that I have this human that is like, Mom, I need you. I have to be more attentive. And I had to give myself that grace and that leeway to say my life has changed and that is okay.
Mhm.
And when I stopped, I realized when I started giving him my entire morning focus, what happened was I was less frustrated. I was less flustered during the day. I didn't feel like I was always rushing to client meeting after client meeting after client meeting. Instead, I just got to spend intentional time with my son, and I can put my phone down and know that my clients are very much self-led and they will be fine until they can speak to me at 12 o'clock. And that has been the biggest shift for me in my business, and also understanding that my clients feel empowered by that because it's not that I'm ignoring them or anything. It's more that these are my office hours and that's what's written in our contract. And so we're always on the same page. We all understand each other. We understand what's going to happen when. And so having that leeway to say, okay, this is my grace has been really, really beneficial rather than that flustered feeling. Obviously, if your kids are a little bit older, that's going to be a very different situation, right? They're going to school, or if you're homeschooling them, having those hours. Our plan is to homeschool my son, and we're in the middle of adopting another child right now. And so we'll have another one, and my plan is to homeschool my children in the future. And my goal is that after they have stopped the napping, we're going to implement quiet time so I can still come into my office and I can still get my work done while they're getting their work done. So that would be my number one like tip, is try to do them at separate times.
Oh, that is wonderful. Good
Yeah.
job. All
Thank
right. Way to
you.
go, Mama.
Thank you.
All right. Any closing thoughts?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I will just say, like, as a closing thought in general, always stay true to you, right? Like, business will always be there, money will always be there, but money should never be your number one focus. Like, your business is going to grow, you're going to make that money, but focus on the impact that you get to make on other people's lives. I think about that so often, and it brings so much joy to my heart when I think about how I've helped other people grow their businesses and what that meant for them, especially like parents who are trying to grow a business but are struggling and they need to be able to provide for their kids. Make sure that your focus isn't on, I need to sign a new client, I need to sign a new client, or make more customers, but rather, how can I impact one person's life? And as you impact their life, I promise you, they are going to bring you more clients, they are going to bring you more customers, and everything is going to work out in the way that it's supposed to.
Oh, that was wonderful. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my philosophy for my business. So like I'm not worried about what comes next. I know that I will always be taken care of, as long as I pour into the people who pour back into me.
And I think that shows how well you've built your mindset.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your input and just your example is just, it's shining. That was wonderful.
Aw. Thank
All right,
you.
Giant
It was a
Builders.
pleasure
We'll
being
see you
here on
next.
the
Oh,
show.
I'm sorry. I forgot. You have a gift for everybody.
Yes, I do. Okay, so I have a free ebook that anyone can go download, and it teaches you step by step how to make more sales in your business using my the pillars that we talked about earlier in this episode. So it'll be a great read.
All right. Thank you. All right, Giant Builders. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.